Hey everybody, it is AEW Dude, aka The Exalted One, and I am back this week along with my good buddy Hurls. Hurls, how's it hanging, my friend?
Oh, it's been a very, very busy week as far as the podcasting goes. It's my third podcast in 2 nights.
Are you kidding me? So what have you been podcasting?
Well, me and Chef, we did a sports podcast last night, just kind of going over everything big in the wide world of sports. We talked a little bit about the Wilder Fury fight. We talked about the NBA season. We talked about Tom Brady. And we talked about the NBA Jam game that's coming out for the Arcade 1-Up machine.
Oh, you're kidding me. NBA Jam is coming out for that?
Yes.
Oh, now yes. See, that is, let me tell you something. Those Arcade 1-Up machines, I thought about buying them. They're complete garbage, but I'm going to buy this one anyway.
Yeah, this one's got Wi-Fi capabilities too, so you can actually play against other people online. So I think this one is one that I'm going to be shelling out my cash for.
See, I have to buy this one. A little aside, I used to write video games for a living, like back when NBA Jam was a thing, right? Kind of dates myself here a little bit. And we had that game in the office. And I'm telling you, like, no work ever got done because everybody sat and played NBA Jam. We were on fire all day long, dude. It was fucking amazing. So this is really a big one for me. This one I have to have.
Oh yeah. This one, it's just like when you think of arcades, you think of Mortal Kombat, you think of Galaga, you think of Pac-Man, you think of NBA Jam. These are just your staples in the arcade. And NBA Jam is just so fun, so addicting, and there's a little bit of everything. A little bit of violence, a little bit of basketball. A little bit of basketball, yeah. But just a great arcade game.
That is freaking awesome. So you talk some NBA Jam, right? Talk Tom Brady. Yes. I want you guys to fill me in real fast here. I know we don't have a lot of time for Tom Brady, but what's the latest on Tom Brady?
Well, I mean, we were kind of just going through how, we can't believe he's, leaving. I kind of said, I think the Patriots are nuts if they don't pay him. The guy's won him so many darn Super Bowls. You can't even count him on one hand. We kind of gave our predictions where we thought he might end up. So I said there was a few teams that could, you could see him going to. Chef gave his team he thought he'd go to. I thought it was kind of crazy, but that's Chef. What do you expect?
What Chef think he's going?
He thinks he's going to the Dolphins.
Really?
I wasn't really sold on that one, but I said if he did go there, it'd be a slap in the face to the Patriots. That's for sure.
Yeah, but the Dolphins, they don't exactly have a history of winning since Dan Marino left. And I don't think Tom Brady's going to a loser. You know where I think Tom Brady's going? I think he's going to stay right where he is in New England. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he has given them friendly contracts in the past. I don't think he cares about the money, and I think that he'll stay there. That's my prediction. I think he's a Patriot for life.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought. We talked about the whole loyalty thing. We even brought up the Brett Favre situation. I said it was different because, Brett Favre was always indecisive on whether he was going to play or not. So I said you really couldn't compare this to that. And I'm like, I was just kind of, on the podcast just saying that I cannot see him leaving. It just would not be right.
Nope. Now, so that was one podcast. You said you did 2 of them? What's the second one?
All right, the second one, brand new podcast. It is called Park World Podcast. It will be coming out in the next few days. It's a new podcast I'm doing. It's once a month. We're going to be talking about theme parks. Not any specific theme park. It could be any theme park. We're going to talk about it. We did news updates, similar like how we do here. I was joined by Starks. He's a new guy. You'll get to know him. He'll sound very, very familiar, but you've never heard him before. His name's Starks. That's all I can say.
Is Starks.
Starks.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
Does he have sort of like a New York accent?
Yeah.
Maybe he talks a little hood. Does Starks drop a lot of F-bombs?
You know what? I was shocked. Starks did not drop any F-bombs. Like, he kind of understood the crowd we're going to be talking to. So he did not drop one swear word.
Wow. Can we get Starks on the HeelCast?
We should. I agree. I can extend the offer to him.
So we're gonna have to get him on with Chef, because him and Chef can practice dropping and not dropping F-bombs at the same time. It'd be a hell of a combination. We'll get Raven Effect in for some dick jokes, and we'll have a hell of a part. Well, that's awesome, man. So look, before we jump into the news here, let's do our regular shout outs, right? We got to shout out ImpactAsylum.net. We got to shout out our good buddy Andre Corbeil, WrestlingWithWrestling.com. Those are now our two homes on the internet. All right, let's not forget Larkin. Larkin is actually doing a lingerie fighting championships podcast as we speak, so he's recording at the same time as we are. He's also got the S&M podcast, which stands for, Stephen Mike, I believe, as opposed to what you would think that it would stand for. He did a new interview with Alicia Tout again. He's had her on a couple times now. What else does Larkin have going on podcast wise?
Fat Porn Stars?
FatPornStars.com, right? Let's Larkin again. If you want a video shout out from Larkin, you too can get one for $50 through Lingerie Fighting Championships. So, of all the people in Lingerie Fighting Championships that want to see in a video, I do not know why you would pick Mike Larkin, but hey, dude can make $50 if you do it. So hook up my buddy Larkin. We're all in on that one. Let's not forget BQ at the Impact Lounge as well. Did I miss anybody?
I think you covered pretty much everybody.
All right, awesome sauce. So let's hit the news here, right? And let's start with the most recent signing, right? So Lance Archer, also known as Lance Hoyt, has now signed with All Elite Wrestling, and they're saying that he's going to debut next week. So, Hurls, what do you think of this signing, and what do you think they're going to do with Lance Archer in All Elite Wrestling?
Well, funny you mentioned this. I literally just watched an Impact Switch show. It was Tales from the Ring. It was in Cleveland, Ohio. And lo and behold, who was on? Yeah, Lance Archer. So I got to see his new look, because we all know him as Lance Hoyt back in the TNA days, and he had that really forgettable WWE run as Vance Archer. So I got to kind of see what his new character is. I would compare him to a Madman Fulton type. He's kind of crazy. He's got kind of gothic looking now, but no, I think this is a good signing for AEW. They need guys of his size. They got too many small guys. They need a guy that can go out there, give them a really good match, and kind of fill that Haas role that AEW desperately needs. And this is a good signing for them. I like it. He's a little up there in age. He's 42, but he's still got enough in the tank where he's going to give you a good 3 to 5 solid years.
See, and I agree with this, by the way. I'm not one of those people that gets excited about signings, and I can't say that I'm excited about Lance Archer. But when you look at their roster and what they're working with, and you look at this guy and you look at his stats, what's he go? 6'8", 260, I think is what he's listed at, 265. This is a big fella. They need big fellas, right? I mean, they need these kind of people in All Elite Wrestling. So assuming that he can go and he can work and he can fill a hole, he fills a big void in that roster that, you're starting to see them kind of complete the roster. The other thing, Hurls, you're starting to see is they're getting bigger. Okay, they started with a lot of small guys because that's what's available. And as bigger fellows are becoming available, they're opting to sign them. So, again, their roster is going to be in flux over the course of the next year or so anyway. But this is a good signing for them for that reason. He does remind me a lot of Madman Fulton as well. And I think that, Madman Fulton's got a lot of potential upside. So, probably is a very good signing for them. Probably will help them out, quite a bit there. And that's honestly probably the place for him, because WWE has enough big guys, and I don't think that Impact needs him anyway. I mean, they've already got Madman Fulton. Why do they just want an older version of what they've already got? More expensive version probably at that, right?
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. Coming off New Japan, he's going to command some cash. So
Yeah, absolutely. And if I got a newer, cheaper version, it is what it is. So in other news here, Chris Statlander is supposedly sick, and they haven't called off the match at Revolution, but apparently she missed Wednesday's show because of it. So what do you think? Think she's going to get back in time? What do you think's going to happen here?
Wow. I mean, it kind of depends on what she's got, really. Hopefully she don't have the coronavirus.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
would not be good. Obviously.
No, that wouldn't be good.
But no, I'm not a huge Chris Statlander fan, so I would not be disappointed. Like when I go to AEW Dynamite in April, if I don't have to see a Chris Statlander match, it's going to be a good night, right? So then I know when my piss break's going to be. But no, I do wish her well. I hope she can get back.
I mean, honestly, I don't wish anybody to get the coronavirus. Just by the way, it's pretty much nothing more than the flu anyway. It comes with the same death rate. It's just apparently a lot of the people are gonna get sick from it. But I don't wish bad on anybody, so to speak. But Hurls, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. If you're at the card and you're at Dynamite, okay, and there's a women's match, whether it's Chris Statlander or anybody else, you can't tell me that you're going for a bio break. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I am not a Chris Statlander fan either, but does it really matter which two women you put out there? You're headed to the bathroom, dude.
You can find attractiveness in any woman, right? Except for Larkin's girls. But anyway, no, you're exactly.
Could you define woman by any chance? It's just saying. Cue the dick jokes, folks. Cue the dick jokes.
We're not streaming our chat window tonight, right?
No, we're not streaming our chat window, and there's nothing in the chat window to stream either tonight. So
at least not yet.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I'm guessing if she has the flu that she'll be able to do it. They might just go a little bit shorter match or whatnot, and that's probably best for everybody involved to have a little bit shorter match. Anyway, now look, this is a interesting series of events this week, right? So we've got the ratings war, if you want to call it that, between AEW and NXT, right? And ratings were down, across the board, right? But here's the thing, the deal is this: AEW for the first time ever won every single demographic, including the plus 50s.
That's telling. That is telling. They are winning that audience over. There's NXT starting to lose that popularity. It was hot a couple years ago, and then it's just been kind of it's just another WWE product. I think fans are they want something different. I think AEW's giving it to them. I don't watch NXT. I know they have a lot of solid workers, but that can only take you so far. You got to have some intriguing programming. So, you know what? Props to AEW for going head. Well, they didn't start the head.
They didn't go head to head. Yeah, WWE is the one that threw NXT on the air.
But I think that's hilarious though, because AEW's got a lot of confidence right now. Like, who's to say AEW doesn't take their program to Monday nights eventually? Eventually, they know they can beat NXT consistently.
I mean, Cody's talked about it already. My deal with this is that I still think that NXT is winning in the sense of winning. And I know it sounds kind of stupid because you know what I think of WWE. Obviously, NXT is WWE, so I ain't going to watch the shit, okay? But here's the thing. NXT is the third brand never existed. That is literally just tacking on an additional 700,000 or how many ever, viewers are getting per week for WWE at the expense of allowing their competitor to grow. So they're doing this with their third brand. And what they're doing is they're stunting. Okay, now I don't think that they're going to hold them back forever this way. Okay, but they're stunting AEW's growth by doing it. What is more intriguing to me would be, first of all, WWE is reportedly not making any money off this NXT deal at all. They're literally putting it out there for free. Okay, so they're basically saying, you know what, we're going to put this out here, get some eyes on it, and throw it to the wolves to keep competition from growing. That is how serious they're taking AEW. But what happens if AEW goes up against Raw or SmackDown? Now, if Raw or SmackDown moves to Wednesday nights, be a lot different than if AEW moved to Monday nights eventually. And when I say eventually, I mean in a few years, this whole conversation's moot because so much has changed, right? But Hurls, my question to you is how much of this is WWE saturating its own market? How much of this is them just basically eclipsing what this IWC that NXT is catering to, right? Just that's the ceiling of their market, and AEW is getting more of it. And how much of this is the fact that AEW is, and now, yes, okay, I'm trolling here, but a more complete product, right, that's trying to resemble WCW Nitro versus just, a super indie show?
I think it's a lot of the first one you said was saturating the market. I mean, they have so many damn shows. They got the network. They're house shows galore. There's just too much. People are just getting tired of it, and WWE should really look at what storylines they're putting out and why nobody's really getting that excited over a WWE event, because they are going to bleed themselves dry. And I think with them trying to go against AEW that had a lot of hype, I think it's just a terrible move on their part. And I think people are starting to see through the lines. I think they're starting to see that, why do we want to watch a third WWE show when I can already see the really crappy show on Monday, or I can see the really crappy show on Friday? I mean, it's just people are. I think there's just people that are honestly not the WWE diehards, obviously, but just general wrestling fans. They're just getting sick and tired of WWE, and they're switching over, and they're showing Vince what they think of this product, and that's why I think AEW has been topping the ratings for what? They've done this now for at least 20 some weeks, and the AEW's only lost 3 times. So
something ridiculous like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really think that is a big part of it. Yes, WWE tries to go for that IWC crowd. Like I said, that IWC crowd only gets you so far. You're going to have to eventually appeal to casual fans. And I think that's what I've been saying this for a while. I think a lot of the wrestling companies need to work better to get those casual fans. But WWE NXT, it's just like that's all they're going for, and I guess they're okay with it.
Which is interesting because, when you look at products like Impact, ROH, MLW, they're going after that same audience. That audience is splintered to begin with. And none of those shows are doing particularly phenomenal ratings. Now, they're able to draw some attendance, okay, because the fans that they do have are diehard fans that are actually spending money, right? That's an issue that Impact's always had in the past, was that, well, they had the big ratings, so to speak, but nobody ever wanted to spend a dime on Impact. Now they don't have no ratings, so people will actually spend money on it. Well, shockingly enough, it's easier to be profitable when people spend money, right? But the point is that they're splintered. And it's I really see WWE splintering itself. So Raw is still 3 hours, right? And SmackDown, yes. NXT are 2 each.
Yes.
That's 7 hours of wrestling a week, right? I mean, how many people watch 7 hours of freaking wrestling a week? I don't, right?
I can barely watch 3. Yeah.
Right, and my three are AEW and NWA. Right, which by the way is going after that plus 50 audience really in a big way. So it'll be interesting to see how things progress. My only thing is with WWE and having to oust some officers from there. I think it was the CEO, or not who was the guy that was the CFO got killed and somebody else got fired recently. It wasn't Vince. Vince's CEO or chairman anyway.
Right. I thought it was like the vice CEO or something of that nature. They had so many darn names.
Yeah, these are officer level people that got let go because the numbers didn't look good for the company as a whole, and they got to explain why isn't NXT even listed right in the as a revenue stream. It's not even listed, so speaks volumes that it wasn't listed there. Now, in other news, right, we had the end of AEW, Dynamite, and Moxley gave Jericho a headbutt, and Jericho needed 7 stitches out of that thing, dude.
Man,
that bleeding was legit.
That reminds me of Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle. The headbutt heard around the world.
Yep.
That's what makes it, though. I mean, I'll even give WWE some credit here, or I'll give Vince McMahon some credit when he told Kevin Owens to give him a big old headbutt. And, that's how you do it, though. If you're willing to take that, more power to you. But it definitely adds to the program.
I mean, it does, but, 7 stitches. I mean, can't you give a headbutt, without, killing the guy like they used to do back in the day? They headbutted him, he fell over, he wasn't bleeding. It's not like Jericho cut himself. It's like, that was pretty quick. And you see the stitches and you're like, yeah, no. And if you're Moxley in the back, like, what do you say to Jericho? Sorry, dude. Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it kind of depends. Like, I could see Jericho just being like, yeah, just let's make it look as best as we can. And if that's what Jericho did, then, more power to him. But if Moxley was just really stiff with it, yeah, that had to have been an awkward conversation, none the least.
So yes, and this is not the first time that that people have gotten injured, right? I mean, like Cody busted up his head, right? That was at MJF, wasn't it?
Yes.
So I mean, that was another one that got beat up. I think it was with MJF anyway. Was it with MJF or was that with Mox? I think it was MJF.
I thought it was MJF.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean,
maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you get the point though. I mean, like there's been some legit blood, and now the Matt Hardy, right? Let's give the devil his due here, okay? This guy is he is the king of self-hype. I know everybody talks about how good the Young Bucks are at marketing themselves. How does Matt Hardy, who really, I mean, I don't want to take away from him, but for a guy that's been around this long and done as much as he has, he's really never done anything. Do you know what I'm saying? It's always been him and Jeff. Right. How does this guy manage to make it look at least like every single company is fighting over him and get them to all play along?
Well, you got to give. It goes back to 2016 when he created the Broken character. That thing has made him so much money. It's been unbelievable. I mean, how like he goes from Big Money Matt to coming up with this crazy character that takes a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then just turns this into some huge moneymaker for him. And then not only that, like his WWE run was pretty much a flop, obviously, when they tried to do that. And we all kind of figured it was going to happen. But these Free the Delete videos that he's doing, he's still keeping his name out there and he's still keeping himself relevant. And the fact that you got every company basically tagging him, so that's helped a lot too. So he's got all these different companies just wanting him to come to their program while he's doing Free the Delete, and it's just keeping his name super relevant. I think people they want to find out like what's going to happen, and I think that plays to Matt Hardy's advantage.
Obviously it's playing to Matt Hardy's advantage. Apparently, WWE is now offering him a spot in NXT to get him to stay. In addition to the Dark Order, if you watched it, flat out said that they're going to render Christopher Daniels obsolete. It's like, oh man, and it kind of makes you wonder about the Dark Order, right? So Dark Order has gone from something that was very meh to nobody cared about. It was terrible, dude. I mean, let's face it, it was bad. to suddenly one of the most, if not the most, intriguing stories in all of wrestling, because they're suddenly making out like this Exalted One is going to be an amazing leader. Here's my point: they're still teasing Matt Hardy. Okay, if they don't deliver Matt Hardy for that role, they better deliver somebody for that role that's going to make you forget that they ever teased Matt Hardy.
Right.
If they don't do that, then all of a sudden AEW is going to lose a ton of credibility. Like, if they decide it's going to be Christopher Daniels, people are going to be like, really? The hell wants Chris? I know. He's the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels, kind of a dark thing. But nobody really wants Christopher Daniels at this point. Like, would you not be disappointed if it was just Christopher Daniels?
Yeah, I think if it was Christopher Daniels, it's not going to live up to the hype that they've been setting, especially when you're on, TNT. You got to come up with a big name there. I don't know if the Dark Order is just trolling at this point or what they're exactly doing. Matt Hardy, I kind of already gave my opinion on what I thought of him being the leader. I don't know how that's going to work, but at least he would be a big name, and at least he's got a massive following, and he's going to draw a lot of fans. Christopher Daniels, on the other hand, yeah, at this stage, I don't know. Raven would make it work because Raven has been down this road before. He would at least make the storyline interesting, but he's not going to be a huge name at this point. So you're looking at a few guys. You're looking at, Luke Harper. He's out there. He's a free agent. We've never really heard Luke Harper on the mic. That's my biggest concern. And how would Luke Harper be able to carry this huge storyline on a program that, is hyping this up so much? I don't know. But, and I guess that's where Matt Hardy would work because, he's already got this character. But it's so zany. Dark Order is not super zany like that. I don't know. I really don't know. It kind of has to be Matt Hardy, though, doesn't it?
I kind of feel like it has to be Matt Hardy. Here's the thing. People don't always know this, but back when Matt was in Impact, Matt actually followed the HeelCast. He actually followed, all of the, the major podcasts at the time in Impact. And when he was Big Money Matt, I came right out and I said that Big Money Matt was terrible, would never be nothing more than a mid-carder. Hurls, you remember this. And I said he needed to reinvent himself. About a month later, maybe not even that long later, out comes this crazy freaking broken character. And dude reinvented himself. And he took the challenge. Now, whether or not I get credit for it or he just realized he had to do it is a different story, right? I'm not trying to take credit for Matt's character here. But the point is that he knew he had to reinvent himself. And he reinvented himself in the most amazing way possible. Like holy shit, did this dude just reinvent himself? Holy fuck. I can't put it past him to be able to switch that character up and turn into a Dark Order character and make it the same way he did with the broken character. So I'm not convinced that Matt Hardy is, a one-trick pony at this point. I think he could do more. We said he'll never do anything if he doesn't just completely change his character. And oh my God, Big Money Matt to Broken Matt? You fucking kidding me? It's insane. And I don't see where the guy can't pull it off again with Dark Order because he did it once. It was nuts. I'm like, dude, it's like, this is terrible. You've got to change. And it was like, oh my God, I didn't expect that. I just thought, I don't know. He changed a little. I think he's got it in him to do the Dark Order stuff. But if he's tried to do, broken Matt Hardy or woken Matt Hardy, that's shit's not going to fly. That would be terrible. I don't think he'll do it. And I think he'll make it work. I also do believe it's got to be him because I don't know who else is out there that carries that kind of ability. You mentioned Raven, right? And Raven's a guy that I love the fact they put him in the audience and tried to pull that off. But here's the thing, Hurls. Raven is nothing more than a manager at this point. Okay? He's not a manager, he's a wrestler. And it's hard for me to imagine him ordering hits on people as Raven. Maybe Kevin Sullivan could do something like that, but nobody wants Kevin Sullivan, right?
Well, I mean, both of those guys were on Impact in the last year. And, I mean, the way they presented them, it still made them look credible into the storyline that they were doing. But I don't know. Like, yeah, you're exactly right. Raven could be that managerial role, but the Dark Order still needs that guy to put them over the top. And whether that's another, bring in another wrestler, maybe one that the fans know, and then maybe bring, maybe you could have a bunch of, some guy like the NWO, like they brought in a bunch of guys that made them, very, very credible. That's what the Dark Order needs. And I mean, Raven's not going to wrestle, so you don't bring him in. Matt Hardy can wrestle and talk on the mic and be a credible leader. So I just think that, I mean, who knows at this point, but we cannot doubt WWE though. Like he could easily re-sign he could go with WWE and just go to NXT. And I think the whole thing, you would have to have a plan B at that point.
Yeah, I know, right? Plan B, Christopher Daniels is not a good plan B. I mean, it's just not. So who knows what's going to happen here? But the fact that we're talking about it means that it's working at the moment. But much like Aces and Eights, hey, look, we talked a lot about Aces and Eights, and a lot of people didn't like that storyline. I loved it right up until it was Bully Ray, and then it was like, that's it. You've given us jobbers, and now you gotta, I mean, don't get me wrong, Bully did earn his spot at the top of the card there, but I wanted someone that was already going to be at the top of the card. Like, Bully earned it, like, after the announcement was made. And it was like, this is it. This is the big reveal. The fucking stupid-ass storyline. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't care for how that whole thing went down. I think it was so predictable at a certain point, in my opinion, that it was going to be Bully Ray. It's just, nah. And, like, Wes Briscoe, Garrett Bischoff, Nux, who was the other guy? Luke Gallo, Doc Gallows. They had Brian Cage was in their grasp to use him in that story. He would have been 10 times better than any of those guys.
He's so glad he didn't take that role, too. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, that could have been a death wish.
Oh, that was terrible. Hey, so the Young Bucks, they're getting a memoir this fall. What do you think about that?
Oh, that's. I mean, they definitely deserve it. I mean, they got quite a story. I mean, I would love to hear how their experience in Ring of Honor basically brought them to AEW. I think that story needs to be told. I think their TNA run needs to be told a little more. I think it's very interesting. They have a very unique story. They're similar to Matt Hardy, right? They market themselves so well. I would love to hear their story.
I mean, they really have modeled themselves after the Hardy Boys that way, right? As a tag team. I mean, if you look at inspirations for those, the Hardy Boys, they've managed to stay popular no matter where they've gone. They haven't needed WWE. They've kind of done it their way. Obviously, you look at the Young Bucks and you think the Rock and Roll Express, you think the Rockers, but to me, they're more modeled after the Hardys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And how they operate. But I think it's a story that needs to be told too. Now, Hurls, have you ever checked out Bill Apter's book?
I have not. It sounds very interesting. The guy's he's a legend in the business, and he's respected pretty much by everyone. So I think that would be very good read.
So I have checked it out. I purchased it. I did the audiobook on it. Listened to it in the car to and from work. He's a bit of a mark for himself, right? He's a guy that really just wants to be in a wrestling ring himself, and he doesn't really hide that very much. But some of the stories he has in there are just amazing. If you're looking for a memoir to check out, it is very long. It's hours on hours on hours long, right? But I think it's a good one. Just remember, he's a mark for himself, and sometimes he talks about how he was wrestling on his bed with his brother, and it might get mentioned 10 times in there. But if you get past that, some of the spots of it are just absolutely outstanding. So it's a good one. You in particular, liking your history, would just love the fact that he covers wrestling all the way from the beginning because he was there. Dude's an old dude. But what it does go to show you is that there really is not a lot of money in wrestling journalism, because even a guy as accomplished as Bill Apter, he has a full-time job. So I'm just saying, throwing that one out there to anybody that thinks that that we get rich off of podcasting. Does not happen. No. But let's talk about some other news here. Access, right? They're moving to Nielsen ratings. As good as bad?
I think it's good. They're becoming a more legit station. I mean, it was an upstart station by Mark Cuban back in about 2006, 2007. It used to be called HD Net. I think this is a good move. I mean, if you want to grow your TV station, you gotta be Nielsen certified, right? So I think all it takes is that one big hit show to get eyes on your product. And what better way to know than to be actually get TV ratings, and we can actually see what you're getting. So I think it's definitely a good move for the station as a whole.
I think it's another in a series of really good news pieces for Impact. I love this. I love this a lot. Look, it's all about growth, and at the end of the day, you really should want everybody to be successful, right? Impact haters generally tend to just want the damn thing to just die, so they can say that they were there when it died. I guess, I don't know, but here's what makes this so great. Is that if you look at in the history, they got bought by Anthem, right? Who stabilized it and cut costs. And yes, the product has suffered from it. There's no denying that, and the quality of the production, everything else has suffered, but they were stabilized. They buy a TV home for it that matches the direction that you would want to match for a wrestling company, right? And Anthem as a whole is into sports. So it's a match made in heaven. And now they're taking in their growing channel. And all that means is that now they're going to be able to get better advertisers. Okay, because people are going to actually know and, have a better feel for what they're actually going to get when they advertise. So they're going to be able to do that. And that's going to allow them to get some more money to be able to maybe go back and fix some of the issues they've got with the product in terms of production. Maybe getting some, higher end wrestlers to go with it, which will then help them grow the product, right? Increase gates, increase, merchandise, and of course, the TV as well. So to me, it's another, people aren't going to look at this, Hurls, and go, wow, Access got Nielsen ratings. But 4 or 5 years from now, if Impact has, tripled where it is right now, you're going to be able to trace back to, this day. And this is going to be a large cause of it. So I think this is just a great thing. It's been slow, but sure. They got to fix their creative direction, but that's a different story. So I love this.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. I think that, like I said, all it takes is they get more TV shows, they get more advertising. It's all one big cog. And it all conjoins together. And I think when, like you said, if we're looking 5 years down the road and they've grown their audience, that's huge. That's huge for Impact. It's huge for Access. It's a really good move. It's not going to make a lot of noise, obviously, right now. But this is one that it's going along with what Impact's been, what they've been doing. They've been going slow, but steady. And that's kind of what TNA just didn't do. They went big, but they didn't go steady. They went all or nothing, and unfortunately, it ran the funds dry.
And let's face it, there was never a plan with TNA, right? And there's a plan, and they're executing their plan. Now, whether they're executing on the timeline they want to execute it on, we'll never know. But from our perspective, they're executing on a timeline, and it's moving forward. And that's what you want. Also moving forward, how can you have a TNA show without Shark Boy? Shark Boy's coming back.
Give me a shell, yeah. Yeah, Shark Boy. I mean, man, this guy, like, okay, he's no AJ Styles. He's no Samoa Joe. He's not a TNA original that you look at and you're like, oh my goodness. But Shark Boy, when you look at TNA, he's one of those guys that was always there in the beginning, and he was a great comedy character. And say what you want, when he woke up from that coma and turned into the Stone Cold Shark Boy, who didn't love that? And that's the fishing line. The Shark Boy said so. I mean, this guy is just hilarious. I think he's a crowd pleaser. He's going to pop a crowd. It's just going to be a great, fun show. I'm really happy that they got him coming back because he has as much to do with TNA's history as anyone else. And what better way to bring the Shark back?
Well, I'll tell you the best way to bring a Shark back, right? With a box of donuts, dude. They got to bring this guy with a box of donuts. I mean, that whole thing he was doing as Fat Shark Boy, which they just dropped on its head. They really did. I mean, they did it a couple times. They dropped it on its head, but that's one of my favorite Shark Boy memories. It's like, you know what? We're just going to give this guy donuts. It was fantastic. You know? People that know me know that I have a thing for donuts, and I'm not even a huge donut fan, but I make jokes out of donuts quite a bit. And they're headed to Columbus, Ohio for the first time ever.
Yeah, they got they're going to go to one of the colleges over there. It's actually a decent looking sized arena, so I'm really anxious to see how it's going to look on TV. It's a nice size arena, and you know, I'm glad they're trying new markets. I mean, they got Atlanta coming up in March, and now they got Columbus in, I believe this is late April. So I love the fact that they're trying to grow, they're trying to expand across areas that basically were ignored from TNA and until now. So I love that they're testing out these new markets because there's only so much you can take of Mexico and Windsor, right? Even Vegas. So you want to expand where you go, and I think it just keeps things interesting. And from every time that I've watched wrestling, Ohio's a really good wrestling town. So you got OVE there. I mean, come on, it's a no-brainer to me. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see how it looks on TV.
So they've also, speaking of TV, right? Impact Plus, they've brought back the Gut Check Challenge. What's up with that?
Yeah. Yes. Episode 1 just was released on Impact Plus. They showed a little bit of it on Impact. If you liked the show Tough Enough, if you like British Boot Camp, you're gonna like this. This is exactly what it is. It shows you how tough the wrestling business actually is and what's expected of you. So if you ever thought about being a wrestler, definitely watch something like this because at least you'll kind of get an idea of what you're getting yourself into. But yeah, no, Gut Check's brought back. These are guys too that have been on their Twitch events. They're not unknowns. They got 7 different wrestlers are competing. Some of the standouts they brought in are Tony Gunn, who I think is going to win it. This guy he's got the mic skills and he's a very solid worker. Like, he reminds me a little bit of like Eli Drake. His promo skills are really defined. I think he's going to end up winning it. I can't say for sure, but they got some other really good talents too. Got a guy named Clayton Gaines, very good look to him, but he's a little raw. They got a tag team from OVW called King's Ransom. They have a very cool look to them, but they're a little stiff in the ring. But no, it's very cool. Scott D'Amore, obviously, is one of the coaches, and so is Johnny Bravo, who, man, if you watch him on there, he's kind of a hard ass. So I would have never thought Johnny Bravo would be as strict as he is, but boy, he definitely is. He's made his presence known very early in the first episode.
So how does this compare to Circle Squared?
I haven't seen Circle Squared. I couldn't really give too much of a comparison to that, but I can compare it to Tough Enough. It's a lot like Tough Enough, but these episodes are only 16 minutes long, or at least the first one was. It's similar to British Boot Camp, if you ever watched that one. Basically, it's kind of just The first episode, at least, was just kind of going through some drills, and it went through some of the incidents that happened during these drills, and looks like it was like a full day of like practice, basically. And Scott D'Amore gives a lot of like commentary episode on what he's seen, what he likes, what he doesn't like, who he's not impressed with, and some of the guys that he is impressed with. I find it very interesting. I think it's a very interesting show.
Very good. Now let's ask another question here, right? When the WWE Network, they lost NXT, they moved that off the network, right? They're talking about moving the pay-per-views out and potentially basically killing the network, right? How does that bode for Impact Plus? Do you think Impact Plus is going to have to adapt? Do you think it's going to go away, or do you think it's going to stay the same way it is now?
You know, I think Impact Plus is actually going to be I like what they're doing with it. They have basically gotten rid of the no storyline, basically Twitch Junior shows that they were doing as one night only shows. Now these are like mini pay-per-views. They are connected to storylines. They are hyping them up. They're showing what happens now on Impact, what happens on these Impact Plus shows. There was just Sacrifice this this past weekend in Louisville, Kentucky, and they hyped it up. They showed a lot of highlights of what happened. I like how they're doing that. I thought that's a much better way to do these exclusive shows. They still do Twitch like they've always done Twitch. They still do that once a month, but these Impact Plus shows are definitely a lot more storyline centered now. So I think that obviously helps Impact Plus. It's still cheap. It's still cheap, but here's
so how much is it? How much is it now?
It's $8 still a month.
$8 a month, right? And how much is WWE Network?
$10 a month.
And for WWE Network, you also get the pay-per-views?
You also get the pay-per-views
and
right
you
now.
get everything all the way back to WrestleMania 1, right?
Correct. You get the whole library.
So you get the whole library. Like, I mean, hundreds of thousands of hours of content for $10. Or you get Impact's library for $8.
Correct. And you do not get the pay-per-views for free.
And you don't get the pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
To me,
you get them,
it's overpriced.
I mean, yeah.
And I said that from the beginning. That's not hating. That's just me going, hey, look, I get Netflix. What's Netflix cost? About $10 a month? Something like that.
Yeah,
might be a little bit more than that these days. But,
yeah.
I mean, but I can get Netflix for $10, $12 a month, or I can get Impact only for $8. You know, I mean, I think that they've got to be having a difficult time selling it because it just doesn't. I mean, it's just like, how much is it to get Hulu plus ESPN Plus and also Disney Plus? Was that like $10 a month right there? $12 a month?
At least. Well, the Disney Plus has got those packages with it as well, which kind of help it. But that's right now because they want people to get it.
Right, but you get everything from Disney plus Hulu and ESPN Plus, which includes like a ton of UFC content and everything else for like $12 a month. And Impact is $8 a month without anything like the pay-per-views.
You know, though, there's one thing that we have not mentioned. If you're a big indie wrestling fan, they also carry a ton of indie wrestling companies. They do their weekly shows on Impact Plus as well, which helps it. I'm not saying it's gonna,
I mean, it's not like having Star Wars, behind you or anything.
It's not like
I mean,
Star Wars or WCW or ECW, but you get everything in TNA's library, obviously, and then you get you get a lot of different shows. They do biographies of a lot of different wrestlers on there. There's Gail Kim, Bobby Lashley, the list goes on. I think you get enough, but you got to be an Impact fan though.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's
sure.
not like WWE Network where there's people who are just WCW fans that just got it just to watch WCW again, so they don't have that per se. But if you're an Impact fan, I think it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I think if they included the pay-per-views, it would help them a lot. But it'll be interesting to see what happens there because on one hand, if they keep it simple, it's just we'll collect $8 a month from people like Hurls that just want to give us $8 a month to have it, and maybe we make some money off of it. Maybe we don't make a ton of money off of it, but it's not that incredibly expensive to host. And they got the content, so why not try to monetize it? On the other hand, I mean, it just, with the cost of content around it, it just does not bode very well. in my opinion. Now, Hurls, speaking of not voting very well, what is going down with Tito Ortiz and Alberto El Patron? Apparently, they've changed it to a no decision, pending further investigation.
You're gonna have to fill me in on the background of this. Was this their? Did they have a legit fight?
They had an MMA fight. Yeah, they had an MMA fight.
Okay.
Tito won, and now they've switched it to a no decision, and it's pending further investigation. And that's all we know.
I think what is this company called? Combat America?
Yeah, Combat Americas. Yeah.
Okay. And they do also play on Access TV. They do have a dedicated show every week. I think it's just to get, buzz. That's what I honestly think it is. It's an upstart company. They need something. And what better way to get people talking than to kind of reverse the decision? But they're not.
It's not them that does it though. It's the state. Right? I mean, it's the athletic commission that makes the decision. This ain't wrestling where the referee just stops it and does stupid stuff. And you've got two Dave Hebners running around.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know why this has changed. I honestly, it beats the hell out of me to say, literally and figuratively.
On a side note, we talk about, ratings, and we talk about 900,000 people. And that match that I referenced with the two Dave Hebners and Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant scored 33 million people that night on a Saturday night's main event back in the day. So times have changed, folks. Times have changed. But Pacific Northwest star Rip Oliver, and I don't know a whole lot about Rip. I was hoping to have Raven Effect on this show because he lives out in the Pacific Northwest. 67 years old, has been placed in hospice due to end-stage heart failure. So our thoughts and prayers go out with Rip Oliver. I have heard of him. I don't know a ton about him. Do you know much about Rip?
I don't. I really don't know too much about the Northwest Territories. Not that much, at least. I just know Roddy Piper, made a big name out there and whatnot. But yeah, sad to hear though.
Yeah, that's tragic for the poor guy. So again, our thoughts and prayers with Rip and his family. And New Japan has canceled all their shows from March the 1st to the 15th due to the coronavirus outbreak.
Man, it's been a really rough go for New Japan. They can't find a TV home in the U.S. They've got to cancel a lot of their shows. I think it's been kind of a rough for New Japan. Obviously, they got their fan base in Japan, which they're huge, obviously, out there. But, yeah, not good, especially when you're losing money, similar to the Disney company.
Yep. Absolutely, and I'll tell you flat out, like let's tip our hat to New Japan for doing the right thing here, and canceling the shows and taking care of not just their audience but also their performers, right? I mean, because the performers they're in the arena with the audience too, so they're taking care of their performers and obviously their employees and everything else. It's nice to see a company that's putting people first as opposed to profit. You don't see a whole lot of that anymore, so I'll definitely tip my hat to them for that. Not a New Japan fan, not going to be, ever considered a New Japan nerd, but I do like to see it when people and companies do the right thing, and to me, this is the right thing. Unlike the new Universal Champion, Hurls, is, wait for it, Goldberg.
Wow. Those Saudi Arabia shows, man, every time they have one, there's some type of controversy that comes from it. I hope it was worth the whatever million they're getting from these things, because it is making the company look so bad. Like, this is just, say what you want about Tessa Blanchard as champion, she at least had proper build-up. This just came out of nowhere. Like, you have one of your hottest acts in WWE. Okay, and that's, I know not everybody's gonna agree with me on that, but he's over. He actually got people talking about WWE a little bit. Guy should have been champion at least till WrestleMania, and this just shows you how WWE has no clue how to book anymore. they hot shot the title onto Goldberg because Goldberg actually drew ratings when wrestling was huge. Okay, I get that fact, but Goldberg can't go anymore. He still looks good physically, but the guy, he was never a great worker to begin with. Okay, so any of his matches are going to look terrible. Okay, so what do? They put the title on Bill Goldberg and just basically bury Bray Wyatt. I think it was just a horrible move. I don't even care if Bray Wyatt wins the title back at the next pay-per-view. I just think it was a terrible look. It should have never happened. If you want to make Goldberg look credible, do a DQ. Nobody's going to be mad about that. Don't give Goldberg the title. I mean, the guy's, 51? 52? I mean, you know what? I mean, he's a WCW guy. Obviously, I got a lot of love for any of the guys during that 97, 98 era of WCW, but come on.
So here's my question for you. Who are the biggest stars in WWE today? Like their biggest stars?
You know,
maybe like top 3 or 4.
I'm not even going to say John Cena because he's not active anymore.
He's not really active now.
He's basically Hollywood now. I mean, you got, in my opinion, their biggest 3 guys right now are probably Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and I'll say Bray Wyatt, but you could make a case for
Lesnar. You got to get Lesnar in there too, right?
Yeah, Lesnar, definitely Lesnar. I mean, he's been more active than Cena. So, yeah, Lesnar is probably their biggest draw, even though he, makes a lot of people angry. I actually come to the point now where I think it's kind of hilarious. I actually kind of love it when he buries the indie darlings that, the WWE marks just eat up when they sign the next, big thing. I've actually come around on Brock Lesnar. But, yeah, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, I think those probably are your biggest 3. Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman would probably be 4 or 5. So that's probably what I would say.
If those are your biggest 3, and people are claiming, I mean, this is what I read anyway, and this might be like, Chef and Raven effect talking, for all I remember, right? But that it looks as though Brock could wind up headed to WrestleMania to go up against Roman Reigns. Okay, is what I had heard. Right now, I don't follow WWE, so if somebody else thinks they know better, they probably do. But why would you put a guy who damn near killed The Undertaker in his last match? Why would you put him in the ring with The Fiend, who you mentioned in that list of guys is that big, right? And then go to WrestleMania and have him wrestle, an even bigger match, right? Why would you do something that stupid? And if Goldberg can't wrestle, and if you think and if you're not sure, look, folks, just ask The Undertaker. Dude damn near died. And you really want a pop. And you're really gonna get a cheap pop out of this. I mean, you're not talking about a guy who's credible as champion. Why not just go ahead, you know what? Hawk, we're going to put the belt back on you again because you want to get a buzz. You give Hogan the belt, it's going to get a buzz regardless. I mean, people are going to love the fact that this guy's got the belt because he's Hulk Hogan. Oh my God, he did it one last time. They might realize he might die of a heart attack in the ring and he might not even be able to walk the whole way to the fucking ring like Andre back at WrestleMania 3 that the card dude in because he couldn't freaking walk it, okay? But if this is all you're getting out of Goldberg anyway. And at least Hogan's not going to kill nobody. I think this is terrible. And by the way, I am not lobbying for Hogan for world champion. Although, actually, to be fair, it would weaken WWE, so maybe I will. I don't know. I just think that this is just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, you know what? Screw it. Why not just put Ric Flair in there?
I thought about Flair, too. Flair's not going to get, Flair never got the mainstream buzz. It just, and also the thing about Flair is that, look, I love Ric Flair. I love Hulk Hogan. I love Goldberg, but I don't worry about Hogan dying in the ring as much as I do Flair. Like, Flair's likely to have a heart attack and just die in the damn ring, and he is so fucking stupid that son-of-a-bitch, he's likely to go full out, okay, and do all the things he did when he was younger and legitimately have a heart attack and die in the ring, and I don't wish that on him. So it can't be Flair. Hogan's smarter than Flair is. Like, I love Flair, but Flair is not the brightest bulb.
Just let Flair cut promos at football and basketball games like he's been doing for the last 2 years. That's all he needs to do.
He needs to manage a UFC fighter is what he needs to do. Like, he needs to get in the corner with him, and then he needs to, go woo when they win and, and talk trash when they lose and shit. I mean, that's what MMA needs. Ric Flair, by the way, he should have become a manager at some point in his career. He really should have transitioned to be a true full-time Bobby Heenan manager, because there's one guy that could actually get up there to the level that Bobby Heenan did as a manager. It's the Nature Boy. I mean, let's face it, it's the Nature Boy.
Well, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, he did manage his daughter for a while, and that actually worked pretty well.
I know, but that's his daughter. That's one person. That's not that whole stable.
Sure. Be like a Bobby the Brain Heenan. Sure. No, I totally get it. I think he'd be great at it. I mean, I think that's probably how I would have taken him if he was signed to my company, but
I'd given him a stable. Now look, let's talk about the next guy. And this is a guy who I'm not a fan of. Never have been a fan of the guy. Oh, for Christ's sake. Jesus God, look at that ugly ass mug I'm seeing on my screen right now.
Who's next?
Who's next? Samoa Joe is next. I don't wish bad on anybody, but Samoa Joe has been suspended for 30 days for violation of the wellness policy after receiving a concussion during a commercial shoot. Now, this is apparently what is it, Raven Effect? This is his fourth concussion in like 6 months.
I don't know. He's fat.
He is fat. He's fat.
I don't have much time here real fast, but I just wanted to, and I'm sorry to backtrack y'all. Because I
no, you're not.
Then I got another customer coming in. Y'all are talking about the new world champion Goldberg. I gotta chime in here real fast on how fucking ridiculous that was. So like Goldberg, like, and I've never been a Goldberg fan ever, right? But like this dude at the height of his career was as big as anyone else at Austin, Rock, Hogan at the time, any of that. But he does not carry the same value, and this dude's like 50-something, just had like literally what's labeled by many as the worst match ever. Hurls, did he come back and redeem himself in between?
No.
Okay. So they just fucking literally like throw this away for some Saudi money, because all the people over there probably made sure Goldberg went over. Ruin all their progress for fucking WrestleMania. It's just the most retarded shit that I've seen, and it's hilarious. Like, Goldberg couldn't wrestle in his prime, and now they got him as their world champ, and it sounded like they were building to Wyatt against Reigns. So now what the fuck are they gonna do? But even more pathetic is all the WWE fans and fanboys going straight to social media to cry and complain about all this and how terrible and tragic it is. Not a single one of those motherfuckers is gonna actually not tune in and watch. They're sitting there crying and complaining. I got no respect for y'all crying and complaining, because you're just going to fucking contribute to it and allow it to keep going, because you have no lives and you just cry about wrestling all day, but you don't do nothing to stop it.
Hey, Raven Effect, you know what makes this Goldberg thing even more hysterical, though? This is fucking no. This is fucking Vince McMahon for you. So Vince McMahon runs a show in Saudi Arabia with Saudi Arabian money, right? And then he puts his friggin' championship on a Jew. I just want you to think about that. Just saying,
I think I'm the one you should ask how you feel about that. We should ask how the Saudi Arabians feel about that.
This is what I'm saying. I mean, like, you got to give McMahon his due on this one, though. He's the ultimate heel. I mean, he literally says, "All right, fine, Saudi Arabia, I'm gonna take your fucking money. I'm gonna put the belt on a Jew in the process."
Let's see who gets beheaded on the flight home.
Right.
Death to America.
Oh my God. So let's talk some Samoa Slow for a minute there, Raven Effect. Do you think that they just gave him this 30-day suspension because they knew he was going to be out anyway? Or do you think that this is like a legit wellness policy thing and the concussion is just because Samoa Joe's a knucklehead? And how does he recover from all these concussions? And actually, should he continue to wrestle?
He's fat.
He's fat.
I don't know, man. Shit, I have no... All I got to say is those got to be the worst steroids ever.
I thought the same thing when I heard it, right?
All I have to say on the matter.
Hurls, what's your take, buddy?
Man, it seems like ever since Samoa Joe has gone to the WWE, it's just been setback after setback and terrible. Another guy who is from TNA gets used really, really bad, really terribly. And my goodness, like if he's getting injured just filming commercials, I think it's probably time to maybe get a different career. I mean, what more can the guy do? He's clearly not going to win the title anytime soon. They're not going to push him. He's just going to be another Dolph Ziggler in WWE. I think honestly, if anybody needs to leave WWE, I think it would be Samoa Joe and Bobby Roode for that matter.
Samoa Joe, you got to be a stupid motherfucker to get suspended on your day off.
I mean, I don't know. I think he's taking the Antonio Brown route, you know, freaking concussion when nothing's going on around him or whatnot. Look, concussions are a serious thing, and when you've had as many concussions as he's apparently had, it's time to hang it up. You're done. You got a lot of life left, and this is not the way to go out. You know, find a way to go into, God forbid. You know what? That's it. He could be a broadcaster for WWE because dude is freaking boring as hell on a mic. So let him talk on that fucking show. Raven Infectious, we got you. I could not do this podcast without bringing up the fact that Davey Boy Smith is not the only person getting inducted into the Hall of Fame this year.
Pass.
He will be joined by, you got it, Nikki and Brie Bella, getting into the Hall of Fame with Davey Boy Smith. I need your take on this, Raven Effect. I need it. I can feel it. It's heating up here in Baltimore all the way from the Pacific Northwest.
My take on it is John Cena and Daniel Bryan are both like, hey, suck my dick. There's a future in it for you. So, this is fucking sham. These girls suck. They're worthless. But I ain't got nothing else to say on it. Worthless, fucking talentless hacks.
Do you want me to?
I do.
Play devil's advocate.
I do. I'm looking forward to it.
The best thing those two broads ever did was the Atreyu music video.
Yes, I was gonna say they were in there. That's right.
That's a good-ass song too.
Yeah, I'm gonna play devil's advocate, but I don't actually agree with what I'm about to say. Okay, I'm just going to give a perspective that's different than Ravens. Why are they putting them in? Well, they're both pretty much have career-ending injuries. They're terrible wrestlers. They've injured other wrestlers. However, they have their own freaking show on the E channel, and it gets a decent rating. So that's how WWE's looking at them, like they're an asset. I think it's a terrible move. They were never good. They're basically putting anybody and everybody into that Hall of Fame now, and it's a total joke.
It was a total joke when they put Donald Trump in the Hall of Fame. Like, how do you take a guy who's like a freaking billionaire real estate magnate, okay, and put him in the Hall of Fame because he lets you use his place a couple times, and I'm sure you paid him well for it. And then I think wasn't he on Raw, like, did a guest spot on Raw every now and again, the commissioner or something.
Versus Air WrestleMania match.
Yeah, he had a WrestleMania match too.
I mean, he wasn't actually wrestling though. It was Lashley wrestled. Who'd Lashley wrestle? Umaga. Okay, fine. I mean, like give me a break. Like this is not something that belongs in the Hall of Fame, right? I mean, like he's just one example. Mike Tyson doesn't belong there either.
In the Hall of Fame of fucking presidents to be the greatest president this country has ever seen.
See,
right?
that's a Hall of Fame you can put him in, okay? That's a Hall of Fame you can put him in. You can't put him in this other Hall of Fame, though. And no. Doesn't mean I hate the guy because I don't think he belongs in the WWE Hall of Fame. But I digress. Let's talk about the XFL. Ratings are down again, but they're still better than 2001. Given the way that content is distributed and people consume it these days, it's actually a pretty good thing. I mean, wrestling ratings are way the heck down from that. Has anybody caught an XFL game yet?
Nope, and I'm glad their ratings are tanking. So
I watched 2 minutes, and I have no vested interest.
I watched probably an hour or so of a game, and it was different. But it was hard to get into. It's kind of like AEW women's matches. Even if you do get a good one, you've just tuned out. It is kind of hard to do that. Does anybody else have any news that we missed before we get into the Revolution predictions?
The only news I want to make sure it gets said is AEW fucking killing it with two of the most amazing fucking shows 2 weeks in a row, and I cannot wait for Revolution.
And I just want to give a shout out to ICU. Join the revolution.
I see you too, Hurls.
I see you getting your hopes up and being disappointed.
I disagree. Hurls is never disappointed. If he's still following Impact the way he is, he's impossible to disappoint. Now, let's hit this Revolution prediction, because I know it's the reason the RVE is here, and he might actually be able to sell a bed to a fat old lady here in a few minutes. So let's start at the top of the card. We'll work our way down instead of the other way, so we get the important ones out. And we'll let you go first, my man, Mr. Raven Effect. AEW champion Chris Jericho, challenger Jon Moxley. Who you got?
It's a tough one. So I'm gonna say. So I honestly, as much as I love AEW, I can honestly say I think they've booked themselves into a corner. Reason being, so it almost kind of reminds me of Bound for Glory a few years back, when it seemed like EC3 is it's destined to win the title back. But Lashley was so good and so hot that they just couldn't pull the trigger and take it off Lashley. I think they built Moxley up perfectly. I think it's his time. On the other hand, I don't think that it's time for Le Champion to lose the belt. Jericho literally doing the best fucking character work he's ever done in his entire career by far. He's killing it. I know there's the Fozzy tour coming up, but if you notice, none of their tour dates are on a Wednesday. I don't know that he could still do that schedule, or anyone really, not even someone of his age. Gun to my head, I'm going to say Moxley wins the championship, but I feel like this should headline another pay-per-view soon with like a gimmick, a steel cage, or something big to it. But I guess that I will go with Moxley, although it's 50-50 to me.
I'll say Jericho keeps it. I think I'm going to say he keeps it for a little while. They want to get the inner circle, kind of, keep this going. I think Jericho keeps it. The ratings are always with the chase, and I don't think Jericho's losing it quite yet.
So I have been Moxley's winning the entire time through this feud. And now that push is coming to shove, I'm switching. And here's why. I heard this pay-per-view is only a $20 pay-per-view. Their other pay-per-views have been $50, right?
This one's $50.
Somebody told me they saw it for $20.
No, this is a $50 show.
This must be. You know what? I bet you anything. It's Greg's getting it confused. That makes it harder. If it's a $20 pay-per-view, it's pretty easy. But I'm gonna say that Jericho cheats and gets by Moxley, and I'm gonna go with what Hurl said. They're gonna build this up to the next pay-per-view, maybe in a couple months. My concern is that I think Le Champion is amazing, but he's also been the only champion they've had. He's been there for like 6 months. But I could see somebody debuting with the Inner Circle, maybe like a Lance Wood or somebody else, getting involved and, knocking Moxley out, something along those lines, and cheating him and let the chase continue a little bit longer. So I'm going to actually switch. Push came to shove. I switched my pick. I'm going Jericho to retain.
The only reason why I decided to go Moxley is because at the weigh-in it was Jericho getting the best of him. Traditionally, how that happens, it's the guy who get the best of one on the go-home show, and then the guy who got the shit into the stick normally ends up winning. But this is as fucking 50-50 down the line as it can be.
This is going to be tough. This is going to be really tough. Now, let's talk about another one here. Next up, we got Cody versus MJF. Hurls, you got in this one?
Val Venus. I don't even care because if Cody's a smart businessman, he hires Val Venus right now to do a run-in. I'm going to go MJF.
You got Raven Fact?
I hope Pearls is right, but I got to go with Cody getting over. And I'll say this, man, I'm excited for this. I don't necessarily want to see either guy lose. I love both of them, but it's got to go. Got to go to Cody. It makes the most sense.
They got to end this thing. They've done everything they can do with it. He's been freaking whipped. He's been beaten. Right? He had to have a cage match and go through basically a gauntlet of things just to get to this match. How does he not go over here? Right? Cody has to win. MJF has to lose. And there's not much more they can do with these two. It's time to switch them onto a different spot. So this is Cody on this all the way. Yes, if they got Val Penis in there, that would be a heck of a of a spot, right? And then we get him a little bit of of notoriety, but then it would also piss people off that don't like Val Penis. So I don't think that they can physically do it. AEW Tag Team Champions Kenny Omega and Hangman Page versus the Young Bucks. Raven Effect. This is a hard one for me.
It's hard too. It's not as easy as you would think. I can really see it go either way. Now, it seems like this should be the time where Hangman, he costs them the match and accidentally gets too hammered and hits Omega or whatever, and it finally beats him, and then Omega gets pinned and Hangman gets pissed, and there's the split or something. We saw the tension teased on the Countdown show, and especially on that episode of Dynamite right beforehand. I'm going with the Bucks, but this is the second hardest one for me. It should be the Bucks winning and then the heel turn for Hangman Page. That said, they could, switch it up on us so we don't see it. I could easily see Hangman and Omega retaining, but I'm going with the Bucks.
I think this is obviously going to lead to a feud between Page and Omega. And I think since I'm picking Jericho to retain, I'm going to go with the Bucks on this one. I think they're going to pull the trigger, and I think this is an easy one, honestly. And I'll probably be wrong, but I'm going the Bucks.
So here's my problem with your argument, Hurls. You say that this is going to lead to Page versus Omega. On one hand, Omega has been the one who's been coolest with Page throughout and been going, come on, man, he's cool, he's my boy, I'm good. And on the other hand, Omega isn't done with Pac yet. I mean, Omega and Pac, they just had that freaking, gauntlet match or whatever the heck, Iron Man match this week that ended nothing. So Omega has to move back to Pac because they're not killing that, right? So if they lose the straps here to the Bucks, and Hangman Page he's left out in the cold. He can't feud with the Bucks by himself. So I'm going to guess that he turns full heel, but they win. And then I'm going to guess that leads to some dissension between him and Omega, and then something's got to happen because Page has nobody to work with. He can't work with the Bucks by himself. And Omega can't really be in two spots at one time. So I'm going to go with Omega and Page to retain. I don't think they've had the belts a whole lot all that while either. Just my 2 cents. Let's go to the women's championship match. Easiest one probably on this card for me personally to call. Nyla Rose and Chris Statlander. Raven Effect, are you still with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nyla's winning. This is the easiest one to call.
Yep. Hurls?
Nyla easily.
Yeah, that's if Chris Statlander even makes it, right? She's got the flu. So yeah, this is an easy one. You can tune out for that one. That's what's happening. How about Dustin Rhodes and Jake Hager, Hurls?
Jake Hager. He's going to. I'll tell you how this match is going to go. Dustin Rhodes is going to get some sympathy moves in. He's going to get the crowd, kind of going on his side. But yeah, Jake Hager all day. It's his first match. They have to make him a legitimate monster. He's in Bellator. There's no way Dustin Rhodes wins this one, in my opinion.
I will say exactly what Hurl said.
Yeah, I think part of the contract is Hager's not allowed to lose while he's undefeated in Bellator anyway. And Dustin Rhodes is there to put people over, so Dustin's going to put over Jake. I'm sure they'll give a good match, but it's going to be an easy one. Jake Hager wins this one. The only way Dustin wins is if there's some sort of a DQ, and you can't really count that out. Another hard one for me is Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. These two guys are two guys that should be together, and this is a match that should not be the end of this feud. It should really just be marking the beginning. So because of that, I'm going to go with the heel and Sammy Guevara to go over to heat this thing up. These two guys should be feuding with each other. They're structured very similarly. They're styled very similarly in the ring. And they're both young guys. This is where these guys should be booked. We should not be watching Darby Allin, wrestle Chris Jericho. He needs to be with Sammy Guevara. And I'm going to go with the heel and say that this is the beginning of a longer-term feud.
I low-key am super stoked for this match. I think there's 0% chance Sammy goes over. I think Darby Allin wins. Darby's red hot, super over right now. Guevara's putting over like fucking everyone. The guy, he got the cheap win over Daniels and the cheap win over Dustin. But other than that, he literally is used to put people over. I think this is probably the second easiest one in my opinion, and I think Darby Allin wins.
I'm going to go with Sammy Guevara because I don't like him, and somehow he's going to win, and they're going to make me hate him even more. Darby Allin, he grew on me. Like, the guy is super tiny, but he has a very interesting look, very interesting persona. I do think, like, the inner circle is just going to dominate, and I think Guevara wins this one.
Yeah, that's interesting, too, because I've now picked the entire inner circle to win their matches and look back on it. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing.
Inner circle is where it's at. I don't know if y'all remember, but on the show a while back, I was talking about that documentary, The Wrestlers, and it was Ethan Page and these hardcore matches with Evolve, and this guy getting put in a body bag and thrown into, like, tacks and shit like that. They were in the body bag and then pile drive and power bombed and all. That was Darby Allin. That was the guy that was they documented on that. So he came in kind of, special to me, or like important, because I saw how crazy this dude was, and he's really, he's taken off.
Yeah, he's a guy that, like, did absolutely nothing for me when he first got there, and I think it was just because they put him in a spot that was too big for him. But he really has grown on me, and I'll tell you, the kid's got charisma. Like, he's a small little guy. And that's why I guess I just don't think he should be wrestling for the main heavyweight championship, right? He's just too small. Sorry, I'm a small guy. I can say that, right? But he's got a lot of charisma, so he's got a spot on that show. I like him a lot more like Sammy Guevara. I'm not really a big Sammy Guevara fan. He's grown on me a little bit, but not a whole heck of a lot. Now, right? Pac versus Orange Cassidy, right? We talked about some easy ones to call. Right? How about if we go, how long do we think this match is going to last, and what kind of showing Hurls is Orange Cassidy going to have in this match? And you can put your prediction in too, but I'll be shocked if I don't know what your prediction is.
If Pac doesn't win in less than 5 minutes, and I'm being generous with 5 minutes, I'm going to lose my mind. But I understand Orange gets a pop. Okay, he's very over right now. He's going to get some type of offense in. I just think it's going to really look stupid if he's doing those slow motion kicks to Pac and just making Pac look absolutely stupid. So if I'm booking this match, you're kind of in a rock and a hard place because you have to get Orange his moves over. Just like you have to get a Joey Ryan dick flip over. Pac better win. That's all I got to say. I'll be happy if Pac wins, which he should. But you got to give Orange his stuff. It is what it is.
Now look, freshly squeezed. We're not just talking about Hurls' penis. We're talking about OC, the man, Orange Cassidy here. Look, Orange Cassidy is going to try. He's going to get even more over. He's going to put up a good fight. This match will go about 15 minutes overall. Talking intro and all that. It's a 4-hour pay-per-view with 8 matches. They're going to give this thing at least 10 to 15 minutes. Pac's gonna win, of course, but it's gonna be one of those things where OC comes out, wrestles the match, and kind of makes himself, even though he's not supposed to do so, kind of like Spud with EC3, the 1-2-3 kid when he challenged Bret Hart. That's what I see happening here, and I think Orange Cassidy is gonna become a star by jobbing.
What could also happen? Pac could come out. Pac could take out Kenny Omega before the tag team match and force Hangman to fight the Bucks. And Hangman could lose to the Bucks, right? And then Hangman could be pissed at everybody. And Kenny Omega could come back out in this Orange Cassidy match and cause Pac to actually lose. Now, I already made my prediction, and I'm not going to change. This is a pretty crazy scenario I just put out there. But I'm actually going to pick against everybody here. I'm gonna say it lasts about 15 minutes, but I'm going to say Orange Cassidy picks up the win. It will not be clean, but it is his first match. He is incredibly over, and how amazing would it be for all the Orange Cassidy, all the freshly squeezed kids out there, to see their hero come out on the pay-per-view and get the upset of a lifetime. All they got to do is book it right. And Orange Cassidy somehow pulls off the win that nobody saw coming. When you look at some of these matches, Nyla Rose, and you look at Jake Hager, okay? When you look at this match, they just seem so easy to call. Cody versus MJF also feels easy to call for me. Why not throw in a shocker? Pac versus Orange Cassidy. You can put this match anywhere on the card, right? This is probably the match that you put between Cody and MJF and Jericho and Moxley, just to kind of just to tune the crowd down a little bit. But I mean, the crowd could be absolutely going nuts at that level for this match. I'm going Orange Cassidy's winning this thing. I don't know how.
Here's my thing that I want to chime in. I kind of also feel there's going to be some outside interference. I don't think it's going to be from the best friends. I'm not saying Kenny Omega, but if someone comes out, it's going to be the greatest man that ever lived. AEW is going to make his debut.
Oh, for God!
The match or challenge him afterwards. That's my pick.
Oh.
AEW was backstage last week. That's my pick.
Oh, for fuck's sake! God no! Please, God no! Here's the neat thing. I will not be buying this pay-per-view, at least not on Saturday night anyway, because I already have plans to be out. But if I find out AEW was there, I'll just catch the highlights and call it a day. I ain't wasting my money for a card that has AEW on it. Fuck
You're
no.
still mad at him for spearing Taya Valkyrie right in front of your face.
I mean, I did.
The funny part about that is that was used to get AEW so much heel heat, and then a year later they were like, you know what? Let's have Taya and Tessa beat up these guys.
The really sad thing is, if you actually watch that tape, I'm the shithole in the back that's like, you're a piece of shit.
We remember.
I know. So do I, unfortunately. Well, folks, that's it. That's all we got. Has anybody got anything they want to add?
More.
We got two more?
SCU in the Dark Order.
Oh, really? I didn't have that on the list of the matches that I saw. All right, let's hit it. SCU in the Dark Order.
Dark Order wins. It's a two-man tag. Dark Order's going to win. I don't know if the Exalted one debuts. They're going to do something to tease Daniels being involved with them or not. Dark Order's going to get the win as much as I don't like them going over, but that's my pick. And there was 8 matches. I feel like this is number 7. Am I right?
This is number 8. Jericho, Moxley, Cody, MJF, tag champs, women's champs, Dustin, Darby, Pac, and this. This is 8. Yeah, this is 8.
Yeah, you're right.
So Hurls, who do you got in this one? Wait a minute, but Raven Effect, who is the Exalted one? I mean, this is a prediction show.
It's Matt Hardy or it's Luke Harper. Those are my 2 that it's down to. I think the Raven thing was a tease. I can't see necessarily being Jimmy Havoc. So those are my spots. I'd love to see Raven still kind of be the mastermind, but I think it was a way to dupe the fan.
Hurls, what you got?
I think you have to have Dark Order win this. I mean, Daniels could join the Dark Order, right? He doesn't necessarily have to be the leader. right? I mean, you could see that
completely.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go Dark Order.
And I'm gonna go Dark Order too. I think this is another easy one to call. I think that I think it's going to be Matt Hardy. I think we talked about that enough earlier, and I could see Christopher Daniels turning and costing SCU the match, and joining the Dark Order, and returning to his fallen angel character. So that'll be my prediction. But I just do not see him as the Exalted One. I don't think he's big enough for that spot.
I hope to God that Daniels doesn't. They don't do that with Daniels. He's as much as I liked Daniels back in the days, man. Charismatic, funny Daniels. Since he's been with Frankie, so much better than what he used to be.
Yeah, that's true. But he's not gonna be part-time wrestling anyway. So, I mean, he's just not. Gonna be in there or whatnot. So all right. So now we covered all the matches, right? Did we miss anything else? Is there anything else we got to talk about?
Nope. As a matter of fact, the RVE's got to peace out.
RVE's got to peace out. All right. Well, peace out, brother. Hurls, you got any last thoughts for this week?
Well, yeah. Just to the Impact faithful, I want to talk. I'm not going to go over every match on Impact. I just kind of want to give some of my thoughts. Jordan Grace is bland as hell as Knockouts champion, and I'm hoping. Hell, I would love to see Madison Rayne even take it from her. Just not digging it at all. I totally get right now why Tessa Blanchard has really no legit contenders, because they have to make her look like a legit contender, and you're not going to do that against any of the heavyweights. Eddie Edwards is going to win the best 7 between Michael Elgin, I think, to keep his Call Your Shot title. Hopefully he'll have something. Moose has kind of been interacting with the TNA originals, so that looks like Moose's next storyline. He's wrestling Petey Williams next week. Sami Callihan, in my opinion, it's going to be some type of stable. I don't know who's going to be, but they got to get somebody big. So, we're talking about, Matt Hardy, Luke Harper going to AEW. I think Impact has to deliver on this just as much, because this is a big hyped thing. I know Sami Callihan's going to be in it, and I'm kind of looking at this like a Sting scenario, where Sami Callihan, you think he might be showing up as a heel, and he may be heel at first, but I think eventually he's going to turn into a face a la Sting. And I also want to give props to Johnny Swinger. That guy makes me laugh every single week. So what I thought was going to be such a joke character, it's actually turning out pretty funny. And I am a Disco Inferno mark, and whenever he shows up, he does good stuff. So if it's him and Johnny Swinger as a tag team, I'm all for it. I thought Impact was okay this week, though. So that's just my quick wrap up of Impact, and that's all I really got. Awesome sauce.
We're glad you did that. It's important that we kind of cover this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So so that's all we got tonight, Hurls. So on behalf of the entire HeelCast, including my boy Hurls, Raven Effect for the shout out and the drop in, Griggs, Chef, our boy Larkin, everybody here at the HeelCast, as well as ImpactAsylum.net, WrestlingWithWrestling.com. Check us out, everybody. Have a great week, and we will catch you next time.